How's today been, guys?
Wet.
Not quite as wet as yesterday.
I was going to say last night I opened up with the question was, did you waterproof sleep? I think today was more kind of, did you waterproof breathe? Because I was sweltering this afternoon walking through woodland. It was quite kind of humid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah.
And the wind just dropped out completely for me down in Thurrock in the south of the county around about midday. And so I gave up on any ideas of sea watching and decided on another strategy. But I've called tonight's program live stream Moving Day because I think there's been some movement in the certainly the species total scores, which we'll probably be finding about later. But we've got some reports first, I think. So what's been happening round and about your areas, guys?
Steve?
Yeah, so, I mean, pretty much I've spent the whole day at Abberton from 6:30 this morning in the dark till about 5 tonight. Yeah, I've not, it's not my local patch and I've not been there for 3 weeks now. And this rain the last couple of days has really freshened up the mud. So lots of waders today. 7 little stints was pretty good.
Wow.
And then we had a bit of a bonus short-eared owl this afternoon.
Nice.
Which was nice. And then, yeah, things like knots. And then there was a passage of song thrush this afternoon and a few redwing. So, yeah, just lots of, and skylarks. Loads of skylarks this morning. So, yeah, really good day.
Good day. Good. Matt, I heard up your way there was quite a movement of song thrush and stuff this morning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, out at the Naze and Holland, although I wasn't there myself today, I'm planning to hopefully get out there tomorrow, but there was a lot of movement. They had yellow-browed warblers at both sites. There was firecrest, redstart, redwings, goldcrest, wingchat and wheat here at Holland Haven. The Sea Watch there produced scorp, Brent geese, red-breasted mergansers. There's been short-eared owls seen at both sites, Arctic terns, Arctic skewers, gannets, so loads of stuff. They even had flyover crossbill, redpoll, siskin, yellow and grey wags as well. But I think the highlight of the day up this area is probably got to go to Daryl Style, who has once again managed to find a fantastic bird. He found a dusky warbler at the Naze.
Brilliant.
Put it out there. He got it on call, and then it showed. So hopefully it's going to stick around overnight. And if I do manage to get there tomorrow, then fingers crossed we might be able to see it.
I'm guessing that's probably a lifer, new bird for both of us, wouldn't it, Matt? I've not seen.
No, I saw there was one there a couple of years ago, which I was lucky enough to actually be there on the day that it was found. So I kind of pegged it around and managed to see it and got some pictures and stuff. So I have seen one before, but it'll be a good bird to see again, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be a brand new one for me, but I'm not sure whether I can get up there tomorrow. As I say, I kind of only really had 2 days. So today I was down in on the edge of Thurrock in Vange Marshes and Wat Tyler Country Park. I said yesterday that I was going to try and go for the specialist species, the spectacular ones, those kind of oddities that do kind of, they're around, but they show up and would have been good for my species total. And I went to see the great white egret and also cattle egrets that have been around there a couple of weeks, I think now, and not a white egret in sight. Eventually I did pick up a couple of little egrets, but I had more herons flying over than egrets throughout that area. So the fact I got up late as well and got started late, I think by about 1 o'clock, I'd realised that title for the species that I managed last year was going to kind of slip away. And so I thought, let's just enjoy the birding rather than chasing different species. And so Elaine and myself just kind of enjoyed Vange Marshes. Incredible reserve down on the edge of Basildon near Pitsea, and one you can visit by rail if you don't have a car. Just get off at the Pitsea railway station. There's a couple of reserves you can walk to from there. And it was almost one of those reserves. There's no official hides per se, but wherever you walk and look from, there's a different vantage point and a different, different species of birds. It was fantastic. The highlights were actually one Tyler Country Park. There is a hide there. Right in front of us, we had a bearded tit, which is a new species for the list. And probably wouldn't have even heard them making that pinging sound yesterday with all the wind that was going on. But they were up and about today. And then at Vange, we had one as well. And then a water rail. And then some snipe, which were nice to see. So, and of course, Canada goose, my missing bird from yesterday. I managed to pick up that real rarity.
Steve, I don't know if you can bring up one of the pictures I sent you, because I was thinking about you, Steve, for S today, and I felt really sorry that you weren't able to see Canada goose yesterday. So I took a little picture for you just in case, but obviously it's not necessary now, but let's put it out there anyway.
So there we go. And
So we got it.
there you go. Whee!
The wonders of oh, very good.
with a very grey sky, of course, but
Was that from today, Matt?
yeah, that's from today. And then just so Steve G doesn't feel left out, I took a little picture for him as well.
Okay.
I cheated a little bit because my day took me through Ardley Reservoir, which is my local patch. I was hoping for green sand and got it straight away. The highlight of my day, to be fair, was a flock of 12 fieldfare that flew over, which was really nice. My first fieldfare of the autumn. And then I went up to Manningtree Mistley, and obviously I got the Meg Gull, but it was quite interesting actually because it was having a little drink out of a puddle.
That's
so
a
I thought that
picture.
might make a nice picture for Steve. Yeah.
I love it.
I really like that.
If
That's
you
a great picture, man.
just carry on your conversation and I'll just look at the picture. For the evening.
So
I
yeah,
hope everybody who's watching's enjoying that as much as I just want to look at that. That's great.
Doesn't Chris Packham like rub his thighs when he sees a sparrowhawk?
yes, yeah.
We had a great view of a sparrowhawk today. From Vange, we went up and decided to go into the woodland. Again, reading the weather in terms of it's going to rain all day tomorrow, which the forecast said that at the time we were looking. It's been changing by the hour. Yeah. But yeah, kind of. So we said, let's go to the woodland while it's dry, then we might have a chance. And just as we parked the car at Landon Hills, Elaine said, quick look, looked up for the windscreen, and female sparrowhawk flew over the car no more than about 4 or 5 feet over the top of the windscreen. Fantastic.
Nice. Lovely.
Really good.
Yeah, so there we also saw some goldcrest on the edge of the forest. We kind of walked into the woodland, and the further we walked, the less we heard and the less we saw. And I said to Elaine, I said, I think we've made a duff call here. Maybe we ought to go back to the estuary and see what's around Coalhouse. And she said, yeah, let's kind of leave. And then as we were walking out, I said, I remember Jerry, our chairman at the Essex Birdwatching Society, telling me once, if you're looking in woodland, you need to be looking around the edges. And no sooner we got to the edges than we came across a flock of little long-tailed tit, blue tit, great tit. And in there was a tree creeper. Oh. And then we walked out into some conifers, and there was coal tit, there was goldcrest. And then a nuthatch flew over the top as well. So that was the same place last year. I managed to see the lesser spotted woodpecker, but no chance today. Very rarely seen there, but lovely time in the woods, and some of the colours are starting to turn already. And yeah, it was a good day.
Excellent.
Where have you been after Ardley, Matt?
Sorry?
Where did you go after Ardley?
So yeah, from Ardley I went through to Catawade and parked up, walked through from the White Bridge back towards the Carp. It was kind of coming up to high tide by that point, so the birds were roosting on hogmarsh. So there was loads of blackwits, probably 400 or 500 blackwits. Mm-hmm. There was a nice little group of around about 150 or so avocet. There was one green shank. Well, there may have been more. I heard green shank calling as well, but I only saw the one. There's a few grey plover, and there's one golden plover on its own next to a green shank, which was quite unusual. It was quite nice actually, because at one point the golden and the grey were quite close, and so I got to compare the two. You know, the golden's just that little bit more delicate looking, the thinner bill, just slightly kinder looking face, and it's interesting to see them close, so you can make that comparison. And then from there I stopped at Mistley Key to take Steve's Meg Gull picture, obviously. Thank you. And then I went through to Radness, and and picked up my first jay of the last 2 days, which was good. There was swallow there, house martin there, and there was what else did I have? I had some. I think I had red polefly over there as well, which was nice. And then I had a peregrine buzzing all the waders on the river there. So that was quite exciting because I was watching the waders through the binoculars, and the peregrine came through my view as I was watching, which is always nice when something like that happens.
Yeah, great. How was Abberton then, Steve?
Yeah, it was really good actually. Yeah, I mean, I say the weather this morning was atrocious, but we're an intrepid lot, aren't we? So we just sort of soldier on. But yeah, it was good. Lots of thousands and thousands. Well, probably 1,000 cormorants there today. Lots of coots, as you would expect at Abberton. And so just red wings and 14 great white egrets, which was great. And I say lots of waders, 100 odd black-tailed godwits, 160 ring plovers, which is a good count for Abberton. That was just before high tide, so I wonder whether they were pushed off the estuary.
Where were the little stints?
Whitborough Bay, just from the little hide there.
Yep. Okay. Were there any rough there today, or?
Yeah, half a dozen or so rough. One knot as well.
Nice.
Which is not a bird I see very often at Abberton. So.
Do you think the weather of obviously yesterday in the storm was kind of shaking things up a bit? I had curlew sandpiper down at Vange, which was nice, and some dunlin on there. No rough, no spotted redshank again, which have been down there reported, I think, if I'm right, recently. And it just seemed, as I say, there were 750 lapwing, loads of black-tailed godwit, probably something kind of like 200 to 300. But yeah, it just kind of felt like maybe, as I say, unless you kind of picked up those great white egret and pocketed them yesterday and took them back to Abberton with you, certainly they'd gone. I don't know whether there'd been a bit of a clear out, before the weather, things had shifted. What's your experience, Steve? Does that make sense?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, there were certainly birds sort of dropping in this afternoon. We had a rain shower at Abberton about, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And just before that, we had a wheat ear just drop in from nowhere, which was good. And I say there was quite a passage of swallows moving through ahead of the rain.
Yeah.
So I do wonder whether, and the rain this morning maybe just dropped some waders in.
Yeah.
The visibility was really quite poor at times. I would suspect that this weather is doing us a real favour.
I mean, I found up at Radness that when the weather, when it was a bit clearer in the afternoon, that there was a few hirundines out. There was, as I said before, several swallow, but there was quite a large amount of house martin, and they were busily feeding. So I'm assuming they're kind of getting ready for migration. There was a few younger birds in there, and in fact, at one point, I thought one or two of them may be sand martins because their younger birds obviously look a bit browner. Yeah. But no, they're all house martin. But yeah, it was good to see. And I also had a stone chat there as well, which was quite nice to find. Yeah. And another fieldfare there. So picking up on something that Steve said earlier on as well, skylark, loads of skylark. I had skylark over at Ardley, lots of skylark over Manningtree and over Radness too. And they all seem to be heading north.
Interesting. Yeah, certainly some movement then. For me, it was meadow pipit. We had lots of meadow pipit kind of flying over at Vange. What else? Probably my highlights were I picked up a common buzzard at Wat Tyler. I had a look for the peregrine that's often on the pylons down there as well, but had a kestrel. So we did manage to kind of pull back a few of the raptors we were missing yesterday. Yep. Obviously the sparrowhawk, as I've mentioned. Other than that, as I say, it was just a kind of a nice day, but didn't kind of push my figures up to the degree that I wanted. My target was 100, and I'm now on 93 different species and looking kind of where are those 7 going to come from that I need.
Is there anything that you're missing that's common?
Yeah, song thrush, mizzle thrush.
Okay.
And tonight I went out to actually see if we could see one at a regular site, which also holds little owls. And I thought I might pick up a little owl. You know, it's kind of just calm, and you're thinking kind of, you know, for the owls, it's been a tough kind of few days with the storm and stuff like that. Like you were saying last night, the short-eared owl. Good prediction. You said you might get a short-eared. And also good prediction, Steve, on the yellow-browed warbler. That was one you forecast last night and popped up. But yeah, so I was there looking, heard robin, but no song thrush, no little owl. And I got home and got a message literally where I'd been, which was about kind of quarter mile from Coalhouse Fort. There'd been a spoonbill flyover.
Mm-hmm.
So it was reported. Elaine and I were, should we go to Coalhouse or should we go kind of have a look for the song thrush? And yeah.
All right, just bear with me.
What do we got there coming up?
And there is your spoonbill.
There we go. Yeah, back of the camera shot. Nick Lay, one of the local wildlife photographers, East Tilbury, put that up on Twitter tonight. Very distinctive, isn't it? And Nick had a glossy ibis also at Coalhouse earlier in the week, and I thought I might pick that up yesterday on my patch bash, but no sight or sound of that. So don't know. So what about you, Steve? What's your numbers? And Matt, how are you doing? Where are you at, Matt?
Yeah, so I've got myself from yesterday's total of 59 up to 98, which, to be fair, just doing the bushes at Ardley, quite nice. I picked up, black cap and a few other bits and pieces passing through, long-tailed tits, blue tits, great tits, and so on, which we didn't see any of that canvas yesterday. So it wasn't too hard finding a few bits and pieces. I heard lesser white-throat at Rabness, but didn't actually see. But it was calling very close, very distinctive. But I'm still missing, I haven't had missile thrush, and I'm still missing kingfisher. And Ardley and Manningtree are both places that you're almost guaranteed to see kingfisher. And I went to both today and didn't see one either. So who knows? You know, there's a couple of days left. I'm sure I'll get one somewhere.
Sounds good. Now I had a message from Ben, whose birthday it is today. So happy birthday, Ben! Happy birthday, Ben. And I hear that he actually had birthday wishes from Megan as well, Chris Packham's stepdaughter, from the Self-Isolating Bird Club, with a plug for the Big County Birdwatch. So big plug for the Self-Isolating Bird Club. Megan and Chris, great job that you're doing from the Essex Bird Watching Society, and there's 3 here. But Ben told me he was on 101 with yellow-browed warbler, which he got up at Holland Haven. He started out at Canvey. He was sharing his strategy with me. I said, yeah, I think that's a good ploy to get down to the river. And he picked up Arctic skewer and a little gull. And then I think he went up to Abberton, didn't he, and bumped into you, Steve?
Yeah, I bumped into him, and he found a single little stint, and he had red pole over Abberton Church, and the sort of usual bits and bobs. But yeah, and then he went on to Holland Haven.
Even better strategy, Ben. Picking Steve Grimwade's pocket up at Abberton.
Yeah.
And then he went on to Holland Haven, obviously, for the yellow-browed, and he's on 101. So he's picked me as well and picked you, Matt. So
very good.
How's your numbers, Steve?
Talking about the yellow-browed at Holland Haven, I don't know if that video clip came through.
Do that, yeah.
We've got video, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so basically young Max Martin, who's a regular at Holland Haven, he managed to get a little video clip which he put out on WhatsApp, so I'm hoping he won't mind us showing this briefly, of the yellow-browed warbler. I don't know if the video streams very well on here. It is a really nice little video clip when you see it on WhatsApp, but I think it's going to be a little bit laggy on here by the looks of it. But you get the general idea. It's shot really nicely. Well done to Max for getting that video clip.
Yeah,
absolutely. So come on, Steve, spill the beans. What did you see? And
the weather wasn't great this morning, as I've said numerous times. But I kicked off with a little owl. There's a site just north of Abberton that I maybe drive past 10 times, and if I see it once or twice, I'm doing well. And it was raining. I put the window down, and there it was, sat on a branch. So that was a good start. And then, like you say, just steadily adding. There's kingfishers. Sorry, Matt. And just So I finished on 109 species today.
Excellent.
Good.
Quite good. 110 if you count black swan.
109 and a half then.
109 and a half. But then I've not seen house sparrow, greenfinch.
It's funny you should mention house sparrow because I added 4 species this morning before I'd even made my cup of coffee. Looked out in the garden. I've got a nice little flock of house sparrows, a robin, magpie, and starling. I think were the 4 I added. So yeah, that was quite nice.
Good.
Very nice. I had a nice little flock of house sparrow feathers on my patio this morning before I managed to get out at 11 o'clock, which meant the local sparrowhawk could kind of be busy. But we did go down to Vange Wick, and that's a place, a little stronghold for grey partridge. And as we were kind of just working our way down there, Elaine spotted a load of collared dove. We had over 70 collared dove all on the wires and in some bushes down there on a particular farm at Vange Wick. And then there was a small group of sparrows as well, house sparrows, something like kind of 20, 25 sparrows all in a couple of bushes, which was interesting. But no grey partridge, and I've not seen them for a while now. I don't know whether you've got that picture of a grey partridge, Steve, to put up. But this is a native bird to the UK. The other red-legged partridge isn't, and neither is the pheasant. But here's a picture of one you might see. Particularly, I think would be interested in knowing if anybody's seeing them. I think up further central, maybe north of the county, there are still little coveys of them. But certainly in the south, we're really struggling with this bird. And I think nationally we're struggling with it as well, in decline. And it's the kind of bird, we talk about recording and the website where we're actually recording for the Big County Birdwatch. And here's a classic example of how you can actually make a difference. If you see birds, particularly something like that, and record it, we may not have any members or anybody who's got their eyes in your particular area. And it would be great to know kind of, if there are grey partridge around the county that we don't know of. And that's something that the Big County Birdwatch can actually pull up, particularly as the public, anybody can actually add records. And today, I actually used my mobile phone on the website, www.ebws.org.uk. And I went to, is it record sightings or something or other there?
Yeah.
And fantastic what Andrew, our webmaster's done. Just a list of birds came up. I ticked, the count area, and it came up with 1. I didn't need to necessarily count all of them, but just kind of that they're present. Others, I put the number in. Very, very simple to use out in the field. And want to encourage people to actually record whoever you are, and particularly what's in your garden, what's in your local area. If you're living near farmland, yellowhammers. I also went to try and find yellowhammers and failed. We went over, having left Langdon Hills and the South Basildon woodland area, we went to Orsett Fen and around that area, farmland area, looking again for red-legged partridge and yellowhammers. And as has been my day, we failed on that as well. Did you see any of those, Steve? As well as your little owl?
No. I am red-legged partridge. I failed. I drove around the back lanes around Copford this evening to try and see one, and not a chance. And then at Abberton, yellowhammer and corn bunting, which are relatively easy to see, and not a sign today. So
yeah.
Well, I got lucky as I left Rabness at around about 5 o'clock, I think it was. So it was getting quite dark, and pulled out of Rabness, turned onto the main road, and I don't know if you know it, but there's farm fields directly opposite. And they've just been ploughed. And as I was driving along the road and starting to accelerate, a bit of movement caught the corner of my eye. So I glanced across, and there was 2 or 3 brown blobs in the field moving. And fortunately, there's a lay-by about 100 yards further on. So I pulled in, got the binoculars out, looked back, and there was 3 red-legged partridge running through the field, which I don't know if you remember last year, Steve, but you and I spent a good hour or so looking for any kind of partridge, didn't we? So, it's nice to see them.
Yeah, good spot. So is there any other reports we haven't covered? Rainham, I think, had little gulls, and Wallasey Island out there north of Southend, great white egret was seen there.
Yeah, there was black redstart at Colne Point as well, which is another decent bird to see. But I think it's mainly been passage. It's been, you know, a lot of the common stuff, but moving through today in good numbers, particularly thrushes, I think. You know, I think there's been a lot of redwing, fieldfare. Obviously not many missile thrush around, but it's been good to see the movement through. And then it's been nice to have a couple of the more unusual warblers coming through as well, particularly the dust.
Good. Because for anybody who's fairly new to bird watching, and forgive us for taking, you know, lots of things for granted, but this is a key time of what we call visible migration, or, you know, bird movement. As birds have bred in the northern hemisphere and northern Europe, and they're now moving generally south or moving into the country to winter grounds, where they'll either overwinter or they'll pass through to their wintering grounds. And so that's why we hold a Big County Birdwatch at this time, to actually see what's moving as well as what's arriving. And so it is quite a spectacular time, time. A friend of mine, one of our local patch birders, Adrian, is up in the Shetlands enjoying a Tennessee warbler, which I think is that a first to the UK? Certainly kind of.
No, it's about the fifth, I think.
Is it the fifth one?
It's the fifth for the UK and the fifth for Scotland, I believe. So.
But there's some really rare stuff, you know, turning up, particularly with the weather that we've had, and even locally. So worth looking out and having a look.
And of course, it's not just the rare stuff either. You get migration within the country. You know, birds moving from the north of the country, Scotland, and the northern parts of England, down to the southern parts of England, where it's a bit warmer in the winter. And you even get local movement as well. So you'll get things like robins. The robin you get in your garden during the summer is probably not the same bird that you get during the winter, because they move around locally as well. So it's incredible to think that the bird movement, you know, is so prevalent. And in fact, years ago, Goldcrest, which we all know now, they can come in their thousands from the continent, but they didn't realise that something as small as a Goldcrest, which only weighs the same as a 10p piece, could actually fly hundreds of miles. And I think they thought that they hitched lifts on the back of woodcock, didn't they? That was the only explanation they could come up with at the time. And it's only through observation and ringing records that they've realised that the birds do actually move around so much. And that's why it's so important, if you ever find a ring or see a bird with a ring, try and get a picture of it, try and read the ring, and you can report it to the BTO website. And it's really useful to know where the birds are moving from and where they're moving to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly.
Sorry.
Yeah, as I say, if you're out on the estuaries, black-tailed godwit is a classic example of a species that they colour ring them in Iceland and around the Wash in Norfolk. And it's just something you can keep an eye out for if you're going for a walk. Just record the colour combination, send the information into the BTO, the British Trust for Ornithology, and you get a ringing report back, and you know, the full history on the godwit.
And it's really interesting, actually. I think, you know, I mean, I've done it a few times, and just to see where the bird that you've just viewed has been and how old it is or how long ago it was ringed. And in fact, Steve, I think you had marsh harrier, didn't you, fairly recently? That was the oldest recorded marsh harrier, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, so I was leading a group down at Bradwell Bird Observatory and St Peter's Chapel, and we were just sort of afternoon raptor watching, and a male marsh harrier flew past, and it had green wing tags on. I managed to get a reasonable photograph to read the number and sent it off to the ringer, and it was the second oldest marsh harrier ever recorded in Britain.
Wow.
Which was pretty good. And it was born in Norfolk, and in its first winter it flew all the way to Barcelona.
Wow.
And then came back to Norfolk, and then hang around.
Why?
Yeah. And then went back to Spain the next year, and then back to the UK, which was really impressive. But his sister, from the same nest, she flew to Belgium. Yeah, so there was like a globe-trotting family, it is. So, yeah, fantastic. It's amazing what you can find out.
Because the other thing that we often take for granted is the longevity of these birds. Some of those waders that you're talking about, can live for 30 years, can't they? Black-tailed godwit.
Oh yeah.
And so that's a whole load of history of people kind of, you know, if they see it, and some of them have got coloured rings on the legs, haven't they, that I've had here.
That's right.
And I've had birds kind of 13, 14 years old. And it's amazing just seeing that they often follow the same routes and can come to the same places to feed, particularly on a overwintering type journey. A lot of the ones here will arrive here and we'll see them. And then they'll go off down to Dorset, to the Poole Harbour area, and feed down there, and then kind of work their way even down to kind of, I think, the Bay of Biscay, Spain area, as I recall.
Yeah,
and so,
Portugal, Portugal as well.
Yeah.
Around Lisbon, there's a very famous estuary around Lisbon where huge numbers of black-tailed godwit winter. Unfortunately, at the moment, the Portuguese government want to build an airport.
That's exactly the point. You know, that's exactly the point, because if we can find out where these key staging areas are, then we can actually protect them and make sure kind of, you know, the environmental policies are in place. Because, you know, for lots of these birds, if you kind of knock out one of those staging areas, then, you know, it's potentially going to really impact that particular species or particular flock that are using it. So, yeah, important to kind of look out for those rings, get a photograph if you can, or kind of the combination that you see, and kind of, you know, send it in to the BTO. Usually is the place I turn to first, and they put you on to the people who, this particular agency that's doing the science and the ringing, and they'll send you back the history of that particular bird, which is absolutely fascinating. Just thinking it'd be great if somebody gets a photograph of a bird such like that, you know, over the next couple of days, and maybe sends it into us, and we kind of put out the information that we get, kind of the history of that bird. It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Good. Well, a lot of this depends on the weather, doesn't it? The migration. So what's the weather doing tomorrow, Matt?
Right. So tomorrow you've got wind, which is going to be around about 15 to 20 miles an hour. So it's a little bit windier than it was today, predominantly coming from the south and southwest. And unfortunately, it's more rain. So I think virtually the whole county, it's going to be heavy rain at the start of the day, possibly easing a little bit in the afternoon, some dry spells, but it's another wet day, unfortunately, guys. So my waterproofs are already hanging up and drying out from today, and I'm sure they'll be wet again tomorrow. I haven't even bothered cleaning the optics. What's the point? They're going to get wet again tomorrow. So yeah, just the same again, basically.
So what's your plans tomorrow?
Oh, good question. I was going to go out early and do my usual East Tilbury walk, but seeing the rain and also kind of looking at, now what might I see that I haven't already seen? Not a lot. Yeah, I've only got a few hours in the morning, so I might do that, or I might even go out to Bowers. I'm still looking for rough, spotted redshank possibly could be there. You never know, one of those great white egrets might escape Steve at Abberton and you know, work his way back. Maybe even that glossy ibis is hiding over there somewhere, but I may do that. But really, as I say, then the afternoon I was just going to look and see what's on. For those of you that don't know, there's websites that you can actually subscribe. They do free trials where you can actually see reports of the rare birds that are showing up. The Rare Bird Alert is one, and Bird Guides is another one. And I was going to look at, you know, what's actually been reported on those sites. If anything's local, Rainham is near to where I'll be in the morning for church. I might drop down there for the afternoon and have a little look around. But yeah, so kind of very much a low-key day for me tomorrow.
Well, I'm probably going to, or not probably, I'm definitely going to head out towards Holland and the Naze, and hopefully going to be meeting up with yourself, Steve.
Yeah.
And maybe Terry might be coming along as well. Yeah, we'll do maybe a bit of sea watching, but I really fancy the bushes at Holland. You know, they've had so much good stuff there today, the yellow brows and bits and pieces coming through. And obviously the Naze, fingers crossed that dusky warbler might stick around. If the weather's not great tomorrow, although it wouldn't be the easiest one to spot in the rain, but if it cools, we might have a chance. So yeah, fingers crossed.
And I think, like you said, if we're going to get rained overnight and tomorrow morning, then it should keep the birds, you know, here still.
Place, yeah. It already started raining here before I hit hit the live stream. So yeah, I think kind of could be a good chance if we can, someone can refine that dusky warbler tomorrow. It's probably going to be around.
Yeah, sorry, I've never seen dusky warbler in Essex, so that would be nice.
Well, if I get a report of it kind of during the morning church service, then I will hasten the benediction, and I might get in the car and drive over there tomorrow afternoon and bump into you two guys. We'll see. Yeah. Good. Any other news? Any reports we've not? I know we kind of flew through that, but
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, just another message really. If everyone can keep putting their sightings on the Essex Birdwatching website, on Twitter, and copy in at Essex Bird News. And of course, if you want to send any pictures to us on Twitter, and we're happy to show them tomorrow or Monday. It'd be really good to get some listeners' content out there for everyone to see, definitely.
Yeah, and don't forget the poll if you're on Twitter. Your vote, whether you want us to continue to live stream on Facebook or move over to YouTube, because we have the option of either. Probably tomorrow night, because I think the poll runs for a day, we'll be back on Facebook. But if more people want us on YouTube, then on Monday night, our final one for the Big County Birdwatch, we'll see if we can actually do the live stream on YouTube. Either way, as I did last night, I'll record this and edit it and put it onto the other platform, so you will be able to watch it after the live stream is completed. Other than that, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it again, and have a good day tomorrow. If you're out birding, let us know what you see, as Matt has said, and don't forget, as I say, that poll, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, 8:30, same time, same place. All the best.
Thanks, Dave. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Good birding.